Can you really do an easy fall card in 15 minutes? Well, let's see. First thing you want to do is you want to draw out 3 pumpkins on your blank card. I'm using a Strathmore blank greeting card for watercolor, and I'm going to draw out my 3 pumpkins. Bear with me, I erase a lot when I draw. And I've got a big fat pumpkin in the middle, and so then on the side of him, kind of going behind him, I'm going to do a little bit of a smaller pumpkin and tilt it away from him. I don't like the humps on the top of this pumpkin, so let's erase them and put some better humps up there. Humps matter, people. Humps matter. Okay? So we want the best humps on our pumpkin. So we're just going to go ahead, get that going. And when you're making your pumpkins, you want to make them different sizes, a little bit of a different shape, and put them in different positions. Now, this little pumpkin, I'm going to put him in front of the big pumpkin, and I'm going to lay him on his side just to make it more interesting. We don't want little soldier pumpkins. We don't want them all lined up in a row. That's just bad composition. You want to overlap them. You want to vary the size. You want to vary the shape. So that's what we're going to do. And we are getting my little pumpkin in here and erasing. I do a lot of erasing, people. So once you get those on there, I didn't draw them too darkly, but if you did draw yours darkly, just take a kneaded eraser and you can roll it over there and pick up some of that excess graphite. So now I'm going to get some clean water. I know my water doesn't look that clean, but it is. It's clean. It's clean water. Clean water, people. And then I am going to take I don't even know what size brush, 12, I think, 8, something like that. Just whatever brush you're comfortable with. And you want to cover that first big fat pumpkin. You want to cover it with some clean water. We're going to get him ready. Get him ready for some color. We are getting this pumpkin ready for color. So the first thing we're going to do is apply that layer of clean water, and then we're going to find us some red orange, and we're just going to drop it into that water. We are going to let that water do the work, people. Let the water do the work. Makes it so much easier on yourself. I'm going to put a little darker orange toward the bottom of the pumpkin because not that much light is going to be hitting the bottom of the pumpkin. You know, the further down it goes, usually the darker it gets because the sunlight's maybe not hitting it as strongly on the bottom. So we're going to make it a little darker on the bottom, a little lighter on the top. I'm also dabbed off my brush to get some of that excess moisture out of it. And I'm coming back and lifting out some of that paint from the top so that it'll be even lighter. That's where the light's really getting it on the top. It's really hitting it on the top edge. So that's what we're doing there. Then I just take some of my yellow. I'm using cadmium yellow, and I just dropped it in a few spots. I'll let that blend in while it's still wet. Maybe just take a little darker orange right here, right at the bottom, and right around where that pumpkin is overlapping, because we know if it's overlapping, it is casting a shadow. And I'm just lifting a little bit of the color out in some areas to give it a little bit of a lighter spot. Now I'm going to go over to my little second pumpkin. Do the same thing. And I have switched brushes. Got a smaller brush because it's a smaller pumpkin. I got a number 2 brush. And I am putting that clean water on there. And it is okay if you touch that big pumpkin and some of its orange just kind of jumps over there and leaks out and bleeds into your perfectly fine, because you're just going to paint an orange pumpkin anyway. So don't even sweat it. Don't sweat it, people. Just keep on painting. It's okay. It's okay. Don't panic. So then I am going to get more of a yellowier orange because I want my pumpkins to be a different color, different shapes, different sizes, different colors. Overlap them, make it interesting. So I'm getting that yellow orange in there, and I like the way that looks. So that's pretty good. That's a good base start. Good base color just to start off with. I'm going to add a little bit of that darker redder orange right around the bottom, just like we did on the big pumpkin. And right where those 2 pumpkins kind of overlap, put a little bit there. Lift out some of the color in some areas to give a little highlight. And how I do that is I just dab my brush off onto my paper towel to dry it some so that it'll be thirsty and pick up some of that paint and water when I go back over there in the lift. So now I think we're going to go jump over here to the third pumpkin, and we are mixing it up. We are not going to put clean water on it first. You know why? Because this pumpkin's a little smaller, and I want to have a little bit more control over where the color goes. So I am just applying that orange paint straight down to the dry paper. I am just slapping it on, not even hesitating, just sticking it on there, not worrying, not a care in the world. So I've got sort of my little yellow orange on there. It's looking pretty good, I think. And I'm keeping in mind that that pumpkin's laying down. So then I'll let it dry completely. And I'm going to dab into some green. I think I'm going to get some sap green, maybe mix it with a little blue. I don't know. I might get crazy and just do straight sap green right out of the tube. Who knows? Sure, painting, you do what you want to do. So I got my little stems all in there now. Remember, I let my pumpkin dry before I put the stems on because I didn't really want the green to bleed down into the orange. You could do that, but I just didn't want to. So now I'm just taking my little number 2 brush and I'm just making some little curly cues, some little sweet little vines. You know how pumpkins do. They got those little vines all over the place. One time, let me tell you, I threw my pumpkins away, my Halloween pumpkins, into my compost pile. And the next spring, I had pumpkin vines everywhere. They took over the whole shed, grew over the shed, grew around the shed, just took over. So you got to be careful where you put your pumpkin seeds. Once you get some little curly cues in there, then you can just make some sort of diamond shapes for your leaves. It's up to you what shape you want to make them. I'm not trying to get too detailed. I'm just trying to make a cute little fall card. So I'm not getting stressed about it, and I don't want you to get stressed either. As a matter of fact, you need to stop, tell yourself, you're doing a good job. You're doing a great job. Keep at it. Good. Go self. Tell yourself, go self. You're doing a great job. All right, so now making sure my pumpkin's dry before I put this little curly cue right in front of it. You saw me pat it with my finger. That was just me checking, make sure it was dry. Got my little green curly cue in front just to give a little bit more interest. And I'm just going to keep on dabbing on some leaves. You see, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just kind of putting them here and there wherever I think a leaf might look good. You put your leaves where you want to. Show pumpkin. Your vine, your card. You decide. But I'm just giving you a guideline. So here we go. We got these. These are going good now. I'm kind of liking this pumpkin. These pumpkins are looking mighty fine. You know what else you could use these pumpkins for if you didn't want to make a card? You could use it as a decoration for your Thanksgiving menu. Now, I don't do that because my family just eats what the heck I put out there for them. I'm not giving them a menu. Just let them be surprised. But if you do menus, if you're one of those kind of people that does that, make a great decoration at the top of your little menu that you print out. Or you could make it a gift card. Like if you take some wine to somebody's house, you can make this into like a little wrap to go around the wine bottle as a gift. You could use it as a place card. There's lots of things you could do with this little design. It doesn't have to be just on a fall card. So get your imagination hats on and think about what you could do with it. All the different ways. Let me know what you come up with. I'd love to know. So now I'm just getting a few of these last little leaves on. And I'm making sure that pumpkin was dry before I did that. I do not want my green and my orange to mix and mingle. We're going to keep them separate. Now, sometimes I let them mix and mingle, but this time I want them separate. It's my choice because it's my pumpkins. All right. We are getting close to the end. I decided there need a little bit more squiggle. It's just sticking there. So I'll put some little curly cues on the end. And now I've let this thing dry completely. Got my Micron waterproof black ink pen, and I'm going to outline some areas. Now this is where it might get a little bit tricky. Not really tricky. Just don't outline the whole entire image. What you want to do is just pick some spots to highlight. Highlight with the outline. So if you'll watch, I'm not outlining the whole pumpkin. I'm just doing a few little lines here and there just to give it some dimension, give it a little bit of definition, and just highlight it. That's all you want to do, because I guess you could outline the whole thing, but I think it would look a little bit, it would take away from some of the painterly effect, and it might just take away from all that beautiful work that you put in there and that spontaneity. I'm also going to put a few little lines around on some of those curlicues and those leaves just to give them a little bit more structure. There we go, looking good, it's looking good. And you see, I'm not following the line of the whole curlicue. I'm just putting a little curve here, a little line there, a little dash here, a little dot there. That's how I'm doing it. Just no rhyme or reason, just wherever my instinct tells me. And there you have it. So I hope you like this. If you did, just follow Art with Viv. That's on YouTube and Instagram. You'll find me, Art with Viv. Y'all have